Good morning. Before we start, just pause for a second. Some days, your preparation feels like it is moving forward, and some days, it feels like you are pushing against a door that will not open. Both feelings are completely normal for anyone attempting this examination. So let us make today count, regardless of which one you're feeling right now. This is the Sociology Desk, issue 66. Today, we take one live event unfolding in the northeast of the country and convert it, step by step, into an examination ready answer for your sociology optional. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which thinker to anchor your answer on, which concept to name in your very first line, and precisely what separates a 14-mark answer from an 18 or 19-mark answer on this exact theme. Here is the event. In Manipur, a highway blockade on National Highway 37 has stopped roughly 1,000 trucks, and it has been met with a counter blockade from a rival community organization. Over 58,000 people remain displaced, and more than 200 are dead since the violence began. At the center of it lies a demand by the Meitei community for scheduled tribe status, opposed strongly by Kuki-Zo groups who see it as a threat to their own land protections. Now, if you simply narrate this timeline in an answer, you will get some marks for awareness, but you will not get a top score. You need a concept, and you need a thinker. This falls under Paper 2, Challenges of Social Transformation, specifically the subunit on ethnic conflicts, communalism, and religious revivalism. The first concept you need is a distinction, not a definition, and examiners reward distinctions. A state is a legal and political entity. It is the government machinery. A nation is a community that feels itself culturally distinct and claims or wants to claim a homeland. A nationality is a nation that does not yet have its own state. In Manipur, you actually have three communities: the Meitei, the Naga, and the Kuki-Zo, each of whom behave like a nation claiming the same shared territory, while only one community effectively controls the state government. That mismatch between nation, nationality, and state is exactly why this conflict keeps repeating itself instead of resolving. If you can say this in your answer in one clean sentence, you have already moved ahead of most candidates. Now you may be wondering, how do I explain the blockade itself, not just the identity conflict behind it? This is where a second concept becomes useful. Civil society is where citizens make claims on the state through recognized legal channels: petitions, courts, elections. But large sections of the population, especially in the margins of the country, do not always have effective access to those channels. So they use what one scholar calls political society, extra-legal or paralegal methods: protest, occupation, and yes, blockading a national highway, to force the state to negotiate directly with them. Once you say that the highway blockade is not lawlessness, but a bargaining strategy aimed at the state, your answer stops being a news report and starts being sociology. The thinker to anchor this entire answer on is T.K. Oommen. His most usable idea for you is exactly the distinction we just covered: that the conflation of nation, nationality, and state is among the most persistent sources of ethnic conflict in plural societies like India. You can literally write a version of that sentence in your answer and attribute it to Oommen from his work State and Society in India. If you want a second thinker to strengthen the answer further, bring in Partha Chatterjee for political society. And if you want a counter perspective, bring in Dipankar Gupta, who reminds us that ethnicity is not some ancient fixed hostility, but a category that gets remade every time there is a fresh contest over land, recognition, or resources. Three thinkers, three distinct jobs. That is what a well-built 20-mark answer looks like. Now let me put on the examiner's hat for a moment, because this is the most important slide in this video. An average script, the kind that gets around 14 out of 20, will describe the Meitei, Naga, and Kuki-Zo conflict in detail. Mention the blockade, mention the deaths and displacement, and stop there. It reads like a newspaper summary with a thinker's name pasted at the end. A script that gets 18 or 19 out of 20 does something completely different. It opens with the structural claim, not a definition. Something like, ethnic conflict becomes visible not through culture, but through contests over territory and constitutional entitlement. It names Oommen's distinction in the very first or second sentence. It uses the blockade and the displacement figures in only one or two sentences as evidence, not as the story itself. It then brings in Chatterjee to explain the mechanism of the blockade and Gupta to prevent the answer from sounding like ethnicity is destiny. And it closes by tying it back to the constitutional architecture of entitlement in India. Repeat this after me, because it is the single most useful habit you can build. The event is your evidence. The theory is your destination. Candidates who can sync a current event with the correct concept and the correct thinker are the ones who separate themselves from the rest of the crowd on results day. Here is a question you should actually sit down and write, not just read. In the light of the continuing blockade and counter-blockade in Manipur, critically examine T.K. Oommen's distinction between nation, nationality, and state as an explanation for ethnic conflict in India. Give yourself 25 minutes, write 250 words, and check afterwards whether you opened with the concept, used the event as evidence in only a line or two, and closed with a synthesis rather than just trailing off. Let us lock in today's revision in 5 points. 1. Oommen's distinction between nation, nationality, and state explains why Manipur's conflict persists. 2. Chatterjee's political society explains why communities use blockades instead of courts. 3. Gupta reminds you that ethnicity is mobilized strategically, not simply ancient hostility. 4. The blockade and casualty figures belong in your answer only as evidence in a line or two, never as the main story. 5. Always open with the concept and close with a forward-looking synthesis, never with a dictionary definition. That is today's brief. I want you to remember that this preparation is long, and some weeks it will drain you more than it inspires you. But the candidates who keep showing up on the dull, tiring days are the ones who are still standing in the final list. So keep showing up, even today. Now, a quick word for those of you who want to go deeper. Every single day, our team prepares the complete answer block for each event we cover. The full model answer, the answer skeleton, the quotation arsenal, the concept flashcards, and the examiner's notes. And this goes out only to subscribers. It is a paid subscription, and I will be honest with you about that. But the edge it